Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at a Delta Airlines crash landing in Toronto.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this one it's a little bit more on the serious side
Okay.
and a little dramatic too. The details are pretty intense.
Okay.
We've got the plane flipping upside down, a fireball erupting, and passengers describing it as mass chaos.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to try and break down exactly what happened on this flight and how, against all odds, everyone managed to survive.
All right. I'm interested.
Our source for this deep dive is a Unilat article featuring an interview with a passenger who was on that flight,
Okay.
a guy named John Nelson.
All right.
And what I think is really fascinating about this whole thing is that it initially just seemed like a completely routine flight,
Yeah.
from Minneapolis to Toronto on February 17th, 2025,
Mm-hmm.
76 passengers, 4 crew members.
Right.
Just another day in the air, right?
Absolutely.
But as we sort of dig into Nelson's account, we start to see those kind of ordinary circumstances kind of unravel.
Yeah, for sure.
Right off the bat, he mentions these super gusty winds and snow-covered runways during the descent.
Oh, wow.
And, that's the kind of thing most passengers might not even, really pay attention to.
Right.
But it really foreshadows the crucial role that weather conditions would play in this whole event.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy to overlook the impact of weather on aviation safety,
Yeah.
but even those seemingly minor factors like wind gusts and snow can seriously affect a plane's ability to land safely.
For sure.
And in this case, understanding the specific weather conditions on that day in Toronto
Right.
is going to be absolutely crucial to figuring out how this all went down.
And then comes the moment of impact. Nelson describes it as super hard, the plane going sideways, that it skidded and flipped over onto its back.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, just trying to even imagine the sheer force and terror of that
I
experience.
can't even imagine.
You've really got to consider the physics at play here, right?
Right.
This massive aircraft traveling at high speed, trying to land in conditions that are already not ideal.
Yeah.
Any little miscalculation or unexpected gust of wind could spell disaster.
Absolutely.
And what's particularly interesting to me is how Nelson describes the plane skidding,
Yeah.
which suggests that there was a loss of friction between the tires and the runway,
Oh, right.
most likely because of the snow and potentially icy conditions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, to make matters even worse, Nelson sees a big fireball on the left side of the plane.
Oh, no.
Now, this isn't just a rough landing anymore. This is a full-blown emergency.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fire, it's one of the most serious dangers in any kind of aviation incident.
Right.
So it's incredibly fortunate that modern aircraft are equipped with those sophisticated fire suppression systems.
Right. I mean, the quick reaction time of both the onboard systems and the firefighters on the ground
Yeah?
was probably absolutely critical in containing that fire and preventing a much larger catastrophe.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been so much worse.
Absolutely.
It's amazing to me that even with everything going on, what sounds like absolute chaos, Nelson's account really shows that powerful instinct to survive
Oh, absolutely.
that kicks in for him and all the other passengers.
Yeah, it really is a testament to, I think, how resilient people can be
Yeah.
in the face of danger. He talks about mass chaos inside this plane that's flipped over passengers hanging upside down.
Oh, wow.
And everyone's just trying to get out as fast as they can.
He even mentions that he could smell jet fuel,
Oh, gosh.
which I can only imagine would just add to that sense of urgency to evacuate.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that smell would definitely add another layer of fear,
Yeah.
underscore that need to get out safely. And in a situation like that, clear evacuation procedures
Right.
and having that calm guidance from the crew,
Right.
that's got to be so crucial.
Absolutely.
Think about it. You're disoriented. You could be injured.
Yeah.
Surrounded by people panicking.
Right.
Having a clear plan and someone to kind of direct you
Right.
can
But
make all the difference.
Nelson doesn't actually go into much detail about the evacuation itself,
Okay.
but it is clear that despite all the pandemonium,
Yeah.
that everyone managed to get out of the plane,
Wow.
which in itself is pretty remarkable.
It really is. I mean, it speaks to how effective the safety training is
Yeah.
and how important those pre-flight briefings are, the ones we usually tune out.
Right. Right.
Those instructions may seem pretty routine,
Yeah.
but when something like this happens, they can actually be lifelines.
It's true. And, and it's not just the passengers.
Right.
You have to think about the crew, too,
Oh, yeah.
who have to execute all these emergency procedures
Uh-huh.
while they're dealing with their own fear and adrenaline.
Yeah.
And then the firefighters rushing into what could be an explosive situation
Oh, gosh,
to
yeah.
make sure everyone's safe.
It's incredible.
I mean, this incident, it highlights the incredible skill and bravery of everyone involved,
Yeah.
from the pilots and flight attendants to those first responders on the ground. It's a good reminder that behind every safe flight,
Yeah,
there's a whole network of highly trained professionals
right.
working together to mitigate risks
For
and
sure.
ensure the well-being of everyone on board.
It's really amazing.
It's so easy to just take air travel for granted.
Yeah,
But, stories like this, they really put things into perspective.
they
They
do.
remind us that real statistically flying is very safe.
Right.
It's not without its dangers.
For sure. And I think this crash landing,
Yeah,
it kind of serves as a wake-up call,
yeah,
to appreciate how complex aviation safety really is
yeah,
and acknowledge that every successful flight is a result of so many different things
right.
coming together flawlessly.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder what were the key factors that actually led to everyone surviving this particular incident?
That's a great question.
Was it luck, skill, a combination of both?
I think that's something that aviation experts are going to be analyzing for
Yeah.
years to come.
It's one thing to just read about something like this, but to actually hear it from someone who was there,
Yeah.
to feel that impact, see that fireball experience, that chaos firsthand,
Yeah.
it really brings home the gravity of the situation.
It really does. Nelson's account, it reminds us that while we might often focus on those statistics and the technical side of aviation safety,
Yeah,
there's a very real human cost to these events.
right.
People's lives are forever changed by things like this.
Yeah, and it's not just the physical injuries either. It's
Ah,
the emotional trauma, the potential long-term psychological effects.
right.
It really makes you think about the ripple effects of something like this,
Mm.
how it affects not just the passengers and crew, but their families, their loved ones too.
It's true. That impact, it goes way beyond just the immediate aftermath. The
Yeah.
recovery process can be so long and challenging,
Yeah.
both physically and mentally.
And one thing that really struck me about Nelson's account
Yeah.
was the fact that there was no blame.
Oh,
He
interesting.
doesn't point fingers at the pilots or the airline,
Okay.
anyone. He just describes what happened, the fear, the confusion, and ultimately that relief of survival.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
It is. In a situation where it would be so easy to just be angry or resentful,
Right.
he just focuses on the facts and that shared experience of making it out alive.
That really speaks to the resilience of the human spirit,
Yeah.
our ability to find hope and meaning even when faced with extraordinary adversity.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into, what was a truly harrowing experience,
Yeah.
I think I'm left with just a profound sense of respect for everyone involved.
Mm-hmm.
The passengers who endured the unimaginable, the crew who acted with such professionalism and courage,
Absolutely.
and all the first responders who put their own lives on the line to make sure everyone was safe.
I couldn't agree more. This incident, it really reminds us that life is fragile,
It does.
and it's important to appreciate every safe landing.
It's true.
And it also highlights the incredible dedication and skill of those people working behind the scenes,
Yeah.
to try and make air travel as safe as possible.
This deep dive wasn't just about breaking down a plane crash.
Right.
It was about understanding that human element,
Yeah,
the resilience and courage that people find in moments of crisis.
absolutely.
And while we can't eliminate all the risks from flying,
Right.
we can definitely learn from these incidents.
Mm-hmm.
We can keep working to improve those safety measures.
For sure.
And I think we can approach every journey with a renewed appreciation for the miracle of flight
I like that.
and all the people who make it happen.
Absolutely. And for anyone listening out there,
Yeah.
I hope this conversation has given you a new perspective on aviation safety
Mhm.
and maybe even a new appreciation for being able to step off a plane safely when you reach your destination.